But what's, I think, the surprise here is that we've forgotten, in the sense, that the empire in India was built by a corporation, not by the state.
I'm Michelle Martin, reading, and I can't put it down, The Anarchy. And here is more from its author, William Dalrymple. William, what in this book did you want to add to the story of the EIC that hasn't been told before?
There's a huge amount about the history of the East India Company, which is totally contemporary, which perhaps hasn't been brought out before in the story. Each generation rewrites history with a view to its own concerns. And today, at a period when Elizabeth Warren is talking in every campaign speech about regulating the great corporations and how to control the power of giant corporations, the history of the East India Company is now much more relevant than ever. After all, we've got a corporate mogul in the White House. We've just been only a few weeks since the ex-head of ExxonMobil stepped down as Secretary of State. And the history of the East India Company looks very different in view of these new concerns. So this is a retelling of a very old story with a completely new spin.
Clearly, the British economy is benefiting from the movement of all this wealth. But where are the main pockets of power? Who's really benefiting?
Well, this suits all sorts of people. I mean, the losers in this are the old local aristocracy who lose control of India. The winners are, well, first and foremost, the company itself, its shareholders, who have massive dividends and a huge increase in capital. The directors of the company. The company becomes, the country's single biggest employer. It spends half as much every year in Britain as the government does. It builds a third of the British docks. And it uses India as a takeoff for other businesses. For example, it plants opium in Bengal, which it sells illegally in China, in the biggest narco trade in history. It buys tea from China, which it sells all over the world, but even in Boston, and it's East India Company tea that is dumped in Boston Harbor at the Revolution. It's controlling about a third of British exports, a third of British imports, and it's an extraordinary, unique story of the world's greatest, biggest, most powerful, and most ruthless corporation. It makes Facebook or Google or ExxonMobil look like sweet little furry creatures in a zoo.
The full interview airs on MoneyFM 89.3. I will post the podcast link below once it's ready.